Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY, Richardson, Platinum Artist, Platinum Songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor. Click on the thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Like I always say, if you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of the straight game, please do me a favor and click on the little bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the delay today. I'm handling business, and also this morning was a awesome morning for the stock market. But I'm here with you now, and we're gonna do it like this in just a minute. Yes, indeed. We're gonna do it like this. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button, JP6 Gunner, Queen for Life, McCann, Cornell, Aaron C, Yaya, J Mac. We here. First thing I want to talk about is the juror getting dismissed. We talked about this last week before it even happened. I really didn't know what the actual situation was in regards to how close they were to actually getting rid of the juror. If you want to be perfectly honest with you, want me to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't really know how close they were. But here is the actual letter, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see, it was a letter from the defense. Defense submits this letter in further support of the rigorous opposition to striking the juror. A black man, Mr. Combs, would be substantially prejudiced by the dismissal of this juror, and because there is no factual basis to remove him under the FASIO, the court lacks the discretion to do so. Moreover, it is supposed, if the supposed inconsistencies in its answer to the court questions were truly of concern, and you could see they redacted a lot of this out of the letter they sent to the judge. I don't know why they redacted it, but they found out they needed to redact it. So at the end of the day, I said, if the court strikes the juror, we respectfully request that the mistrial be declared. We understand that the court has refused to find any discriminatory motive in the government's actions with respect to its preemptive strikes on this motion. However, we respectfully and regrettably disagree. The government's motion must be evaluated in the light of the entire history of the investigation and prosecution, and not in isolation. I agree with that. Unfortunately, when considered against the background, it is impossible to believe that this motion is merely a good faith attempt to raise a valid question about the juror's integrity, rather than an effort to take advantage of an opportunity to strike yet another black male from the jury. I also agree with that. First, it was Mr. Combs is nodding too much. Now it's the jury's inconsistency. To begin with, as the court noted during the morning session on Friday, it does not have the discretion to remove a juror, or where there is a bias in the removal of the juror, or where there would be prejudice to the defendant. With prejudice meaning that the discharge is without factual support for a legally irrelevant reason, right? So, basically, United States versus FASIO, once again, they're basically stating court law, a prior case, which was in 2014, describing the standard in which the court usually should go by Here, there would be significant bias and prejudice to the defendant, and there is no factual support for dismissing the juror. First, there is no question Mr. Combs would be severely prejudiced if the juror in question were removed, and they removed him, and replaced by another alternate. We have previously pointed out that this juror is one of only two black men on the jury, one of two black people on the jury. I think, I'm not sure, but it should also be noted that he is the juror who is, and so basically this is what they had put up this morning, ladies and gentlemen, and so yeah, this is what's going on at this particular time in regards to the juror, if you will, and like I said before, it's very unfortunate when you think about the big picture and where this stands as far as what's happening with this case right now. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. We're gonna see if we can get back into this into the actual court case. The testimony right now, they were on break. So we're gonna see if we can get back into it. They're supposed to have the drug mule guy come testify, if you will. Okay. Right here, we're about to restart, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it. Let me see. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the lighting. Now, 1:56 p.m., a trial restarting. All rise. Jury entering. Judge, Miss Johnson, you may proceed. USA Johnson, Special Agent. And have you reviewed American Express records? A Special Agent, I have. This is what the AMX for a flight from Miami for Cassandra Ventura. You know the sad part about this. They're trying to make something. That was Diddy's girlfriend. He wasn't able to basically book her a flight, is what they're basically saying. No, he can't. He couldn't book her a flight. A Special Agent. Here was the charge from the London hotel to this AMX account. Prosecution. Whose AMX account? Special Agent Sean Combs paid with an account at Signature Bank. Amazing. So they succeeded in getting the black juror removed. I knew that's what they were gonna do. It's crazy. We got to just pay attention to what's going on, man, and like I say, make this more of a learning moment than anything. So, yeah. For most people who don't really understand law and how it works, it's I guess for going against Diddy, it's kind of like win at all costs, if you will. Win at all costs. It does not matter. Like I said, if the judge felt like that, I mean, I think he should. It wasn't because it wasn't because he was lying on Diddy's behalf. If they felt like he was inconsistencies, what the situation was, they said that he said he lived in the Bronx, but he told somebody, one of the court employees, that he had recently moved to New Jersey. And so I don't know how long ago was recently moved to New Jersey, but they found that he was not being consistent in his statements, if you will. So, yeah, it's crazy. This is where we are right here. Yeah, I really don't know how to look at that and see that from the perspective of it being fair. I feel like the judge, if that was the case, then we got to start all over again. But I guess that's why they say we got alternates in case any hiccups happen on the jury from that perspective. My question is, who did they replace that juror with, if you will? Remember, I told you all it takes is just one juror to hold out. They know that. The prosecution knows that. So, and if any of the other jurors, I don't know if they explained to the jurors why the other juror was dismissed. I would hope that they would. And if they felt like, that he was dismissed, some of the other jurors, whether they be white, black, or whatever, felt like he was dismissed because of his race, then I think that would be, also something that they could look at from that perspective. Like I say, shout out to everybody in the chat right now. I appreciate you guys. All my regulars and anybody new who's came into the chat. It seems as if when they get like these the special agents and people like that on the stand, it's kind of, we're talking about American Express, records and things like that. Somebody buying somebody a hotel, hotel flight from flight from Miami for Cassie, or a stay at the London hotel with an Amex card paid for by Diddy. Once again, that was his girlfriend. So, like I said, I still don't see any problem with that. Also, the testimony of the assistant earlier basically testified that him setting up appointments and him doing all of these other things were part of his job, not part of any kind of racketeering and conspiracy situation that he was involved in, if you will. This was 30 seconds ago. Diddy docket flights about jurors, plural, and Sean Diddy Combs trial. U.S. opposes linking second juror to now excluded juror and letter here. Right? So I don't know what that was. Basically, they linking the second juror to the now excluded juror. To now excluded juror in the letter here. He's basically saying you got to go on his Patreon to pay to see the information that he posted on his Patreon, ladies and gentlemen. So there's a letter that they posted on the docket that Inner City Press actually posted on his Patreon. Like I said, I mean, feel free to go on his Patreon and try to find that information out if you feel like it's that important to you. Yeah. I want to say happy belated Father's Day to all of the fathers out there also. If you're a father, happy Father's Day to you. And I hope you enjoyed your day as well as the mother of your child or your children enjoyed hers. So they're basically going over an AMX card information, as you see. I think it was very unfortunate for them to dismiss the juror, though. Like I say, don't involve yourself in this legal system, man. See what's going on in the world right now. So just it bees like that sometimes. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The prosecution. Can you read this? A special agent. It is the Trump in Columbus Circle. I'm heading there now. Can you contact the front desk and get the channel unlocked? Prosecution. What does Miss Ventura say? Special agent. Just call them. Now, once again, as we talked about, I know that they didn't even ask Cassie did they give her immunity, right? But if you can see with this testimony, right, she's basically saying, "Yeah, I called him just now. I just called him." So she's ahead of the game. She didn't even really need to be told what to do. She did it on her own. You know what I mean? Because this was part of what their thing was. So yeah, amazing. So and like I said, this was a lot of this testimony right here was something that we didn't see during the Cassie direct or Cassie cross examination. Him the special agent actually reading the text message. And also earlier they had the some kind of expert for RICO. Once again, you don't need an expert for RICO to come testify and try to prove one's case in regards to what RICO is and what RICO isn't. You understand what I'm saying? It's either you lay out the predicate felony, should I say, in regards to that, or you can't lay it out. You know what I mean? So that's the way that I see it. Other than that, you know, all of this, like you bringing up the, what is this? This is a hotel receipt for that. Yeah. Once again, you have two people that were in a relationship with Diddy that they're trying to link to um, some kind of relationship ship situation, if you will. So I find that troubling. I don't know what you guys think. Here's a court sketch. This was Sean Combs earlier today, surrounded by his lawyers, a courtesy in the city press by artist Elizabeth Williams, if you will. Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen, get this straight. Let me get it straight. Let me get it straight over here. Let's see. Thank everybody for tuning in. Let me get this straight. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Okay. Want to give some shout outs real fast. Shout out to JP Six Gunner, also Fatima. Thank you always. Brandon Carter, Classy, T Dave, uh, Universal Axe, Natalie Got You, Tanya V, um, Quan, Intelligent Hoodlum, all the people in the chat, as well as the people that are not inside the chat. I want to appreciate everybody for tuning in right now. I appreciate you. Let's go. Like I said, when she says, "Oh, I just called him," and didn't need to be told, as you see, can you read the special agent? Uh, it's the Trump in Columbus Circle. I'm heading there now. Can you contact the front desk to get the channel unlocked? And prosecution, what does Miss Ventura say? A special agent basically saying that Cassie said that she just called him. So what do you guys think about the juror being dismissed? Think it's fair, unfair? Uh, a lot of y'all been saying in the chat that the judge is biased. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if he's biased or not. Like I said, you know, if the defense feels like, well, I don't think if they feel like that this case will be appealed if Diddy is convicted. Like I said, I still don't think that they've reached anywhere near any kind of RICO case or anything like that. This was party and all kinds of illegal drugs and stuff like that, and what he liked to do with people that he was in relationships with. You know what I mean? That's basically what I see. I don't see no kind of situation like that where a person who didn't live with him, neither of his girlfriends lived with him. They had their own place. None of those things. So this is where they have us at. Open that. The light. Seems like they take forever when these when I guess there's nothing substantial to be reported because it seems like they take forever. Let me see what we got on the other connect over here. I don't even think the last thing they reported on was 17 hours ago. You can see it right here. For those who wondering what exactly was going on, prosecution in Diddy's trial, they wanted the black juror removed for giving inconsistent info. Where he lives, saying the Bronx at first, and then mentioned New Jersey. The judges found the contradiction serious enough to question his eligibility. That part is serious, basically based on his eligibility, because if he didn't live in New York, I would think that he wouldn't be able to serve on the jury from that perspective. The defense is strongly opposing to the juror's removal. He is one of only two black men on the jury, and they argue removing him could reduce diversity and threaten the fairness of the trial. They also believe that this could violate legal rules against removing jurors based on race. Judge Aaron Samranian must now decide between maintaining jury diversity or acting on possible dishonesty. And that's possible dishonesty. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 1 minute ago, prosecution. Who is in these communications? Special Agent Cassandra Ventura and NYPD, NY Punish and Sheree Hayes. So I guess they talking about the Punisher and AKA Sheree Hayes, right? As y'all have seen him, he testified in court. Also been on various channels and things of that nature, talking about his story. Prosecution. What is it about, Agent? The cost. Prosecution. And this, Agent, videos. A prosecution. Turn off the screen for the public and the press. And it's funny, man. I just find it really interesting how the government can try to isolate. They can isolate certain people to certain from that perspective. Like, you can isolate. They said, well, everybody was involved, right? But this is how we're going to look at what it is that we're doing from that perspective, right? Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back. Check it out. So, like I was saying, right? I just think it's ironic how the government can say, you know what? We know you was involved, but we're not going to charge you. We're going to give you immunity if you tell on this person. This is a whole way of playing the legal system that we have set up here in America. And I think, it's very important that we understand it. It's like, yeah. I mean, we have a great legal system, don't get me wrong, but it's just so many ways that it's flawed, if you will, from that perspective. Yeah, that it's not even funny, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not even funny. So, like I said, hit the like button, hit the share button, ladies and gentlemen. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. I like to thank all the new subscribers for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you. And yeah, we're going to keep kicking this straight game. But yeah, like I said, the lady earlier that they had testifying in regards to being some kind of expert as far as RICO is concerned, right? Being some kind of expert involved in the trial, if you will. It was interesting because the thing that I found the most interesting was the fact that that they would need somebody to testify as to what RICO is. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was baffling to me. It was baffling. Like, here's somebody who hasn't worked with any of the doesn't know anything really about this case in particular, but would then be able to come and testify as to what RICO is. Like I said once again, and none of the far as the fraud or coercion, those they don't stick up. Sex trafficking and basically they're trying to say that even after a long period of time that somebody could they wouldn't be able to leave. That's simply not true. It's simply not true. We heard Jane basically get up there and basically try to use the freak offs to her advantage, more so than what she was trying to say, or what the prosecution was trying to explain, that Diddy was using the paying of her rent as some kind of leverage against her, right? She was jockeying for position. She was like, well, look, you with her right now, but if you come and be with me, then you don't have to worry about anything like that from that perspective, right? Here you go. This is 46 seconds ago. The prosecution, we are not playing it for the counsel, so their screens are viewable from the gallery. During this public lull, Agent Delisa Penland. She also appears in, among other cases, U.S. versus Lorraine Shaley, Inner City Press. So the video that they're playing in court right now, so we're not playing it for the counsel, since their screens are viewable from the gallery. Excuse me. So the Punisher, he really been out, the guy Sheree Hayes, he really been out there getting his money up. he ain't been playing, man. He been like, yo, he been on every channel he possibly could be on. So they playing the video right now, ladies and gentlemen. So we're not privy to that information, but like I said, hopefully they've moved on from that. This video, yeah, like I said, they have to bring in somebody to explain what RICO is, what a racketeering and corrupt organization is. I mean, this is so far-fetched from what we understand RICO to be, and dealing with the mafia and dealing with all these other, kinds of situations where the, we have more than a one-person RICO right here. Like I said, once again, this right here, I've never seen this in my life, a one-person RICO. Everybody else gets immunity, and they just want this one person. I've never ever seen this happen. Like I said, and usually, what was the benefit? The person who's paying for everything is the person who's racketeering. There's no financial benefit. There's no public power position and nothing like that to put the person in power. What was the motive behind the RICO? Saying sex trafficking. Who was sex trafficking? You know what I mean? You can't be sex trafficked if you said to Diddy over the phone as well as in the court, or maybe if I fucked a little bit more, whatever, or whatever that she was in referring to, she could go on trips. And it was like once she got what she wanted, she didn't really care about anything else. Right? Like I told y'all before, also using talk about, for your birthday, no, for Valentine's Day, or you're not gonna get your gift if you don't come home and leave off of a vacation, whether it was with Young Miami or Gina. And Diddy basically did leave from what we understand, leave the situation one day earlier. But like I said, all of this was well known. All of this was well known. You know, usually you couldn't even have a second girlfriend or whatever. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. We moving on. Judge, Miss Johnson, we're not seeing it. Prosecution, play it from 10:30 to 11 minutes. Okay, Special Agent Penland, I want to direct your attention to line 23. I will read Mr. Combs, and you read Miss Ventura. Prosecution, Combs, you horny? Would you want to have a freak off? Right. Like I said, once again, this only proves that everybody was with this. This was doing regular sexual activity. You asking somebody, you horny? You want to have a freak off? You know what I mean? That's something that they were into. It's not a crime if you into that. Like I said, once again, it's a crime if you want to make it a crime, if you want to make that something that you want to put under the microscope. But I mean, it's not a crime. You know? And they the testimony earlier was they were talking about price, but they never really said the price. But like I said once again earlier, in all of the testimony that we've heard in regards to somebody being paid for something, right? It was it was Cassie who paid the Punisher, Sheree Hayes, right? And so my thing is, once again, if they're saying that Cassie is a co-conspirator, right? She had to be given immunity. They're saying, well, she was sex trafficked, and she was his girlfriend. So, like I said, you know, in other people's worlds and understandings of whatever they want it to be, you know, they can basically say, well, hey, well, no, this is what it means. This is what it actually means. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it doesn't have necessarily anything to do with you or your lifestyle or how you living. It's just what they set it up to be. Agent Penland asked Cassie, call Jules. Listen, this is Cassie. Call Jules. Can you send me the hotel info about the smoke? What are you doing? Prosecution asked Combs. What up? Agent Penland asked Cassie. I asked him to drive around, and we will hit him when we want him to come up. Right? See? She was with it. I'm telling you, man. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. Like I said, I'll never be able to understand what they're trying to say. Cassie basically saying, I asked him to drive around, and we will hit him when we want him. When not when I want, not when you want, when we want him to come up, ladies and gentlemen. You know, so there's no ambiguity as to what this is and what this meant, right? Right? I will hit him. Cassie said, I asked him to drive around, and we will hit him when we want him to come up. It's just as simple as that. How does one escape that? I'm trying to figure it out. Help me out, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't know. How does one escape that situation, if you will? That this is a consensual sexual relationship that they have. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. Like I said, once again, I appreciate you guys. You know, I don't like. You know, it would be different if we weren't allowed to be kind of privy to some of the information and the testimony, thanks to inner city press, right? But now that we have the actual, you know, we don't need to, you know, make up no kind of story or anything like that. We're getting it as it's coming out, and like I said, there are also, you know, other pieces of context uh, that you can get into in regards to that, right? But like I said, once again, when you think about the big picture, it's like it still doesn't. This doesn't show us anything other than people having a relationship and what their relationship like, what their sexual relationship was like. That's basically what they're showing us. But you, like I said, with the juror being dismissed, all of the, I think they filed for almost 3 mistrials. The judge denied all of them. Once again, it's kind of leaning to like one side, if you will. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. You know, a lot of people in the chat were saying that there's bias. It's kind of leaning to one side. I mean, the judge is not responsible. Let's be clear. The judge is not responsible for the juror, you know, his lack of candor. If everything that what they're saying is true, and they went back over the testimony and the jury information, and basically he said one thing on the his questionnaire, and then he says another thing later on. You know what I mean? Like I said, once again, you know, we don't know how that works or what that is. I say, me personally, you know, declare a mistrial and then start all over again. You know what I mean? Because like I said, there's always some kind of inconsistency involving something that somebody's going to say. And if it's depending on the one person, the judge, his discretion as to whether he think it's important or not, then I don't really think that's always fair. I always think like that's the reason for appeal, because appeal process, you usually go through 3 judges and they all sit down and look at it and look at the law and understand what it is, and they find, you know, because every judge doesn't think the same, they might not see it as the judge who presided over this trial sees it, right? And so that's the important part. So but as you see right here, Agent Pendon as Cassie, called Jules as Cassie. Listen, she's telling Diddy, y'all, call Jules. Can you send me the hotel info, right? So she's not even there. She's telling Diddy to call Jules about to smoke. What are you doing? She says she's about to smoke. What are you doing? And Combs basically says, what up? Agent Pendon as Cassie. I asked him to drive around and we will hit him up when we want him to come up to the room, to the hotel room. Plain and simple, ladies and gentlemen. And now you kind of see the denying of the bail situation, if you will. I mean, when they denied Diddy, you know, being let out on bail. I mean, the way they described it was like, the way they described it is like he has too much. I mean, but basically the Cassie video, right? But I found interesting the Abercrombie and Finch guys, who were charged with something similar, right, were let out on $5 million bail. Diddy was trying to put up $50 million, and they wouldn't let him out. Put up his property and all of that. They want to be on house arrest and all of that, right? You know, and so, you know, like I said, this was not people that he didn't know. This was females that he was in relationships with. I also find the situation with Kanye West interesting. Now, let me tell you this, because I read a little bit of the Kanye West files. Now, they got Kanye West, I believe he's going to court or being sued in civil court right now. And in the language, as I read, I believe on Friday, in the language, in that civil case, they're using the word, the person that he was about to traffic or that was being trafficked, right? So trust me, believe me, that if Kanye West somewhat settles the case like Diddy did, is found liable in civil court for some kind of situation, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, best believe they probably gonna go after Kanye West next for the same thing. AUSA reading, I am a bit more sexually excited than last time. Dress casually and bring baby oil, right? Agent as Cassie, yes, baby oil. Yes, baby oil. No. Prosecution as Johnny, LA Strip, on my way, El Mortage. So I guess one was at one hotel and this was at another hotel. And they're reading the messages. So the El Mortage, he said he was on the LA Strip, on my way to the El Mortage. Agent as Cassie, do you mind driving around until I tell you? Until I tell you. Listen to what's being said, ladies and gentlemen. So they setting everything up in the room, right? And Cassie's basically telling whoever this guy is, or whoever Johnny, right? Telling Johnny he's in LA, right? On the Strip, right? And basically she said, on my way to the El Mortage. And Cassie tells him the same thing she told the other guy, right? Yeah. Wow. Wow. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What Cassie say at the end? Do you mind driving around until I tell you? Very courteous and considerate. Do you mind, driving around until I tell you, to come up? It's cool to come up to the hotel room. Once again, there's no coercion. There's no force. Nobody's being trafficked. Everybody's with it. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. Like I said, thank you again for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'd like to thank the people who've already subscribed to the channel for subscribing. You're very much appreciated. Absolutely. And once again, if you just come in the chat, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, or happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Cassie said, do you mind driving around until I tell you? Wow. You remember back in the day was, you can see how I think they charging Diddy with a separate count of the Mann Act. And I think there's another sealed indictment. You know what I mean? It's like indict. Basically saying the same things. But check this out. Remember when as we were watching this last week, remember we were watching the situation when the agent was testifying about the guns, right? And like I said, during the press conference, and this is like just so much pomp and circumstance and hype that they go, they arrested Diddy. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then they read the indictment like a day later. They arrest him and then they read the indictment a day later. He was supposed to be turning himself in, but they didn't let him do that. Made a spectacle of that, right? And that's why the defense was saying, in relation to the release of the juror, You have to look at this situation in totality from the beginning of the investigation, and not just as it relates to this juror from that perspective, right? As to what they were saying, racial bias, right? But when you think about what they were talking about, the guns, the situation involving the guns, it was like, like he had he was running these illegal guns. It was all of this. They showed us the one gun that had a serial number scratched out. All of the guns matched, and then they tried to make it appear optically as if these guns were somehow illegal. They once again, they didn't tell. And notice, like I said, when we're doing this, notice what they're not telling us, right? What they're not telling us. What they're not telling us, or what they didn't tell us, was the fact of the matter is that the guns were in the security office, right? That all of the guns matched the serial numbers, the appropriate serial numbers to the guns. And it was the one gun that had the serial number scratched out, but they did, I'm sure they took it, they matched the ballistics. It wasn't related to any kind of crime or anything like that. So once again, that was a nothing burger. If you want to be perfectly, that was a nothing burger. What was that about? You see what I'm saying? And so now, then it was Diddy nodding his head. It's come to my attention, Your Honor, that Mr. Combs is enthusiastically nodding his head when, towards the jury or whatever. Once again, it's like, is that illegal? I mean, how come, I mean, if you were broke, indigent, and you couldn't afford an attorney, you had a public defender, I guarantee you, if you was in the courtroom and you was nodding your head they wouldn't even make no big deal about that. They wouldn't make no big deal about it. Point blank, period. You know what I mean? So once again, there's not equal justice, I feel like, under the law. Certain people are looked at certain ways. I mean, whether you got money or you don't have money, and so, and that can work for you and it can work against you. For Diddy, it seems like it's working against him. It's not working for him. On the legal defense side, it's working for him. But in the courtroom, it seems like it's working against him. In public opinion, it seems like they want it to be working against him. So you can take it as you will. Like I said, once again, the charges are the charges. It's like when John Gotti's situation with Sammy DiBolgravano, when he took the stand and he copped all those murders and all of that, right? That's a whole different world, because they understood what La Cosa Nostra was. They understood what was going on. They had bugged the old lady's apartment where they had, John Gotti basically bragging about this and bragging about that, and also talking about Sammy and so on and so forth, which gave him, I wouldn't say an excuse, but a reason to then go testify against John Gotti from that perspective. And then, when they do the sweep and they say, well, this is a racketeering and corrupt organization, right? And then they name the underlying crimes that fit the RICO Act. You understand what I'm saying? Extortion, all of those things, right, that they name. Then you can understand what that is. This situation here was mainly, or should I say RICO was mainly made for the mafia. And so how it's being applied here for Diddy is totally, for me, out of character, if you will. So like I said, thanks for everybody sticking around in the chat as we wait. Ladies and gentlemen, also, like I told y'all before, if you have not checked out the book, check this out.
They said Tupac was untouchable. But behind the walls of Rikers Island, he was just a man, wounded, watching his back, and wondering who he could trust. He survived bullets, betrayal, and isolation behind bars. But what happened inside those walls has never been told until now. In the darkest corner of Rikers, he found betrayal and a brotherhood no one saw coming. These dudes smiled in my face, then flipped and tried to kill me, and I never saw it coming. They were Puff's security, Biggie's muscle, Henchman's people, and Tupac knew exactly who sent them. This is the side of Tupac Shakur the world never got to see, told by the man who lived it with him, not in the studio, but in a 6x9 cell. The rap battles, sex and drama with female guards, the tears, the silence after Jada Pinkett's visit, and the moment Tupac almost broke. Before Death Row, before All Eyes on Me, before Machiavelli, there was Rikers. Behind the Walls with Tupac Shakur, available now on Amazon.
Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great book, great read. Like I said before, author Donald Richardson, no relation to me. Like I said, did 24 years in and out of New York State penitentiaries, and yeah, he ran into Tupac at Rikers right before Tupac, right after he was sentenced, should I say, and then he had to go to upstate Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemore, New York. So, yeah, great read, y'all. I like that they keep it right here, like I said, Inner City Press, like where they keep it right here, where Cassie says, once again, do you mind? So that was first. They was in Trump Hotel in Columbus Circle. I believe that was New York, and right here they're at the Hermitage in L.A. Basically, agent acting as Cassie, and the prosecution is acting as Diddy, and like I said, being told to bring that baby oil. But more importantly, what Cassie says at the end of this, like she said at the end of the other one, right? And it gets to go to show you, like, okay, we don't really know everything that's going on. Like, when a person come up to the room or whatever, how is it happening, right? And each time she's basically saying, yo, could you drive around? And, if you drive around and, and tell what Cassie says, do you mind driving around until I tell you to come up? So she's in full control of what's going on, as well as Diddy. This time she says until I tell you, right? The first time she says until we tell you, right? So this is a collaborative effort. This is not no, you know what I mean? And I won't even relate the RICO situation. This is basically sex, like I said. The situation with Kanye West as well. Basically letting it be known, they found out, it was found out that Kanye West remember, they were talking about that sex party in Vegas, and where Jane went out and she said she flew on the private plane with Kanye West, and they didn't say Kanye West, but what they basically said was, what came out was, it was for his girlfriend / wife's birthday, right? And most people was trying to say that it was Jay-Z. But Beyonce's birthday is in September, right? And I think her name is Bianca. Bianca, Kanye West's girlfriend / wife, whatever you want to call her, birthday is on January 4th, right? So now, if we're looking to tie those two together, then you see where that would implicate more Kanye being this rap superstar, him and Diddy being friends, and so on and so forth. And the very next day after that was testified to on the stand, and they were trying to not mention Kanye's name. So much so that the government was like, they had a big whoop to do about that. Like, no, we can't, the fact of the matter is, in court, they actually played the video with no sound, as if people wouldn't see who Kanye West was in the video. So they played the actual video of Kanye West being in the video with Jane, with Daphne Joy, if you will. But it seems like the prosecution was like gung-ho about not mentioning Kanye West's name. And I don't know why. It could be because they got that other civil case. It could be they might be trying to swoop up Kanye next from that perspective. Like I said, the civil case that he has right now, and me reading some of the documents, they're using the word, the person in that was being trafficked. They're talking about sex honey. They're talking about, wiring people $50,000, big money. It's crazy, like I said once again. But this is what's going on right now. So I found that interesting also for the people that may have not known about that, right? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Finally moving on, right? The prosecution. We could break here. The judge, let me see counsel at sidebar. Judge, jurors, you may leave for the day. All rise. The defense expert will be Dr. Alexander Barday. Inner City Press covered him. Dr. Handon. Basically, they adjourned him for the day, ladies and gentlemen. At 3:10. At 3:10, ladies and gentlemen, they've sent the jury home for today. The defense expert will be Alexander Barday. Inner City Press covered him, and so so they're sending the jury home. They're sending the jury home, ladies and gentlemen, and so like I said, for me, more importantly, this is interesting. It's only gonna get more interesting. But look, if the cliffhanger is this today, look, check this out. If the cliffhanger is this today, and there's a lot of other information I'm sure that they probably talked about, the Inner City Press did not publish, right? If the cliffhanger is this right here, look. If the cliffhanger is this, and like I said, they probably still dealing with the doctor. If the cliffhanger is the agent is Cassie, do you mind driving around until I tell you to come up to the hotel room? It's not looking good for the prosecution. It's not looking good, like I said. And I don't know how they're going to deal, if the defense is still going to press the issue about the juror being dismissed, right? But this is what we have here, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we have here. So like I said, more importantly, sorry about the late start today. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in. And like I said, I can't wait to join you like how we normally get down with it. But, I'm here nonetheless, Straight Game TV. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Like I said, once again, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And like I said, your boy DELRAY, if you have not, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, picked up the book. Here it is right here. Like I said, I can't, put enough emphasis on it. Check it out.
They said Tupac was untouchable, but behind the walls of Rikers Island, he was just a man, wounded, watching his back, and wondering who he could trust. He survived bullets, betrayal, and isolation behind bars. But what happened inside those walls has never been told until now. In the darkest corner of Rikers, he found betrayal and a brotherhood no one saw coming. These dudes smiled in my face, then flipped and tried to kill me, and I never saw it coming. They were Puff's security, Biggie's muscle, Henchman's people, and Tupac knew exactly who sent them. This is the side of Tupac Shakur the world never got to see, told by the man who lived it with him, not in the studio, but in a 6x9 cell. The rap battles, sex and drama with female guards, the tears, the silence after Jada Pinkett's visit, and the moment Tupac almost broke. Before Death Row, before All Eyes on Me, before Machiavelli, there was Rikers. Behind the Walls with Tupac Shakur, available now on Amazon. Get your copy. Learn the truth.
Like I said, once again, ladies and gentlemen, pick the book up. And more importantly, for those who don't know, I want to say a happy birthday and may he rest in eternal peace to Tupac Shakur. Today is Tupac's birthday, June 1671. The day mama pushed me out of the womb, told me, nigga, get paid. Yeah, may Pac rest in peace. And like I say, happy birthday to him and all of the people who support Tupac. And like I said, believe in him as his fans, if you will. Like I said, your boy DELRAY, straight gang.
Life is like cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.